Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and I'll take you through the top 50 stories of the day. Let's begin. The war between Ukraine and Russia rages on. In the latest, Ukraine has carried out new strikes on Russian forces. Several explosions were reported in the Russian-controlled city of Luhansk. Smoke was seen rising above a former aviation school that is now being used by the Russian military. According to a Moscow-installed official, Kiev carried out attacks with two Storm Shadow long-range missiles. The UK supplied these missiles to Ukraine recently. Russia has launched a new wave of attacks on Kiev. Moscow has launched aerial attacks involving drones, cruise and ballistic missiles. This is according to a Ukrainian military official. The latest attack involved the most number of missiles fired by Russia in the shortest period of time and from different directions. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko has inadvertently confirmed that 4 military aircraft had been shot down over Russia last week. This happened near the borders of Ukraine and Belarus. Minsk said it responded by putting its armed forces on high alert. The incident comes amid reports of Ukraine preparing for a counteroffensive against Russian forces. Taiwan has begun a 5-day military exercise. This is an annual military exercise and focuses on responding to a potential Chinese invasion. The exercise includes scenario-based military movements made by China's People's Liberation Army. It also incorporates actual military events in Ukraine. In China, youth unemployment has hit a record high. Unemployment among people aged between 16 to 24 years has hit 20.4%. This is for the first time this happened in April. This has been seen as a worrying sign for overall economic recovery of China. The economy is struggling to involve new workers even as the overall labor force is declining. In Pakistan, former Prime Minister Imran Khan has renewed his call for protests. He has alleged that over 7,000 members of his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party have been illegally detained. Khan was arrested and released last week. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Supreme Court has urged the government and opposition to hold talks on conducting elections in the country's Punjab province. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has arrived in South Korea. He will hold a summit with South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol. The two countries seek to boost cooperation on security and critical materials used in batteries. Trudeau and Yoon's meeting will be followed by an official dinner. Trudeau is the first Canadian leader in the last 9 years to visit South Korea. It marks the 60th anniversary of bilateral relations between the two countries. In the US, an 18-year-old gunman shot 3 people to death in the state of New Mexico. Several others, including 2 police officers, have been injured. The gunman was shot by a police official. The motive behind the shooting is not yet known. In the West African nation of Senegal, supporters of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko took to the streets. They started protesting, which led to clashes with police officers. 1 police official died in the protest. The protests come as Sonko is scheduled to appear in court. He's facing a trial for the alleged rape of an employee at a beauty salon. In Malaysia, authorities are mulling over decriminalizing the small-scale possession and use of illicit drugs. This is to free up prison space. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's government has abolished the mandatory death penalty and natural life prison terms for some crimes. Currently, Malaysia has harsh penalties for crimes related to drugs. According to a report, India is considering helping Greece and other nations in their quest to reclaim artifacts from the UK. This is part of India's global initiative to support the victims of colonial appropriation. This comes after reports suggest that New Delhi will try to get the famous Kohinoor diamond back from the UK. In Myanmar, the lead...
Findings in writing are done in some cases months after the initial verbal feedback is given. Vice Chair Barr, when did the Fed give the initial feedback regarding interest rate risk to SVB, and why was simply an MRA issued as opposed to an MRIA?
I believe in that case the writing was actually quite close in time to the finding of difficulty with the interest rate risk modeling. As you suggested, the basic problem was that the model was showing that the firm would be earning more money when interest rates rose, and the opposite was actually the case.
Wildfires. The province has been facing 89 active wildfires, out of which 25 are out of control. The wildfires worsened over the weekend. It forced the evacuation of thousands of people. The wildfires have also affected Canada's energy production. In the US, residents of Seattle and other cities are experiencing record high temperatures for this time of year. The temperatures rose to 31 degrees Celsius, breaking the previous record of 30 degrees Celsius. High temperatures during this time of year have raised concerns. This is because the weather is unseasonably warm for the region. In China, temperatures passed 30 degrees Celsius in the financial hub of Shanghai. Major Chinese cities have issued heat advisories. This comes as the country braces for record-breaking heat. It could threaten electricity supply, crops, and the country's economy. In India, New Delhi and the National Capital Region witnessed dust storms on Tuesday. Residents woke up to a hazy and dusty morning. The dust storm limited visibility. The sudden change in weather also impacted the region's air quality. The dust storms are happening because of cyclonic circulation in the state of Rajasthan. In Croatia, heavy rains caused a river to burst its banks and flood a town. Croatia received an average of 10 to 40 millimeters of rain in just 24 hours. The country's prime minister has said that all necessary steps are being taken to ensure the safety of the population. In Uruguay, people staged a protest in front of the presidential residence. Protesters expressed anger against the increased levels of chloride and sodium in tap water. The South American country has been dealing with a persistent drought. Uruguay's state-owned water company has started mixing brackish river water with fresh water. The supply of fresh water has been dwindling in the country. In Peru, an anemic, malnourished and hyperthermic sloth was rescued by national park teams. The young sloth was placed in an incubator to stabilize her health. Veterinarians from the Peruvian National Forest and Wildlife Service say the animal was poorly fed and had signs of mistreatment. The animal will be rehabilitated into the jungle next month. British telecom operator Vodafone will eliminate 11,000 jobs. It will do so over the next 3 years. The move comes as the company faces a declining cash flow. Vodafone CEO Margherita Della Valle has said that the cuts will help streamline the firm's business. The announced cuts are the biggest in the history of the company. US-based financial firm Morgan Stanley is also considering cutting 7% of its jobs in the Asia-Pacific region. This will affect roughly 40 positions. The cuts would mainly impact the investment banking and capital markets business in the region. The job cuts are part of a global reduction. Earlier this month, Morgan Stanley announced its plans to reduce about 3,000 jobs globally. Meanwhile, reports suggest Amazon has laid off some employees in India. The layoffs have occurred across various teams, including Amazon Web Services, Human Resources, and the Support Division. At least 500 employees will be eliminated as part of the cuts. According to reports, the current downsizing is part of the company's global layoffs. In March, Amazon announced its plans to cut about 9,000 positions globally. US-based financial firm Wells Fargo has agreed to settle a lawsuit brought by the company's shareholders. The company will pay $1 billion as part of the settlement. Shareholders have accused the firm of overstating its progress in recovering from a series of scandals. The bank has found itself caught up in various scandals over the years. The former CEO of German automaker Audi, Rupert Stadler, has admitted to his role in the dieselgate scandal. Stadler conceded that he failed to actively act to prevent the lapses. The scandal involved Audi and its parent Volkswagen using illegal software to manipulate emissions tests. Earlier this month, Stadler made a confession in exchange for a suspended sentence. Dutch conglomerate Philips has said that 95% of its recalled devices have shown limited risks. They're talking about when in 2021, Philips recalled millions of respirators that were used to treat sleep apnea. These recalls were made over concerns that the foam used in the machines could get toxic. At the time, Philips had blamed the use of unauthorized cleaning products for the foam's degradation. However, the company's new tests show that using cleaning products also did not cause major harm. Google is adding 2 new features to its image search. The first one is called About This Image. This feature will give additional context for photos. This will help users identify the original source of the pictures. Secondly, Google will tag all images that are created with the help of artificial intelligence. The company says that these features will help reduce the spread of misinformation. Microsoft has won the European Union antitrust approval for its acquisition of video game company Activision Blizzard. Reports say that the move may encourage regulators from China and South Korea to follow suit. If that happens, Microsoft will get closer to its $69 billion acquisition plan for Activision. However, the tech giant still faces considerable hurdles towards the goal. Last month, the UK's regulator rejected the deal on anti-competitive grounds. Apple is facing a new probe from regulators in France. The company is being investigated for allegedly planning to make smartphones obsolete. Reports say the company is doing so by making smartphone repairs complicated. This means that any repair procedure that was against Apple's policies would render the device obsolete. According to Apple's policies, repairs are restricted to certified technicians only. As per media reports, a ChatGPT maker OpenAI is preparing to release a new open-source language. This comes after OpenAI's ChatGPT has become a global sensation. However, reports say that the new model is not expected to be competitive with ChatGPT. Moving on to sports now, Pakistan has threatened to boycott the Cricket World Cup that will be hosted in India later this year. The threat comes amid speculation of Pakistan losing hosting rights for the upcoming Asia Cup. Pakistan Cricket Board Chairman Najam Sethi has warned against moving the Asia Cup out of his country. The Indian cricket team has refused to travel to Pakistan, citing security concerns. Pakistan have offered to host India's matches in the UAE as part of a hybrid model. However, India say that heat and logistics issues in the UAE will prevent them from doing so. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have joined India in opposing Pakistan's hybrid model. England pacer Joffra Archer has been ruled out for the summer after suffering an elbow stress fracture. This means he will also miss the upcoming Ashes series in June. Meanwhile, Ben Stokes, James Anderson and Ben Foakes remain doubtful for the Ashes owing to their own injuries. However, batter and wicketkeeper Johnny Bairstow has returned to the English squad after recovering from his leg injury. In football, Liverpool beat Leicester City 3-0 in the Premier League. Striker Curtis Jones scored twice in the first half giving Liverpool an early lead. Trent Alexander-Arnold sealed Liverpool's victory with a stunning free kick in the 71st minute. Liverpool are currently 5th in the league, 20 points behind league leaders Manchester City. South Korean footballer Son Jun-ho has been detained by Chinese authority in China's Liaoning province. Son has been accused of accepting bribes. He was arrested while trying to leave China along with his family. The midfielder plays for South Korea's national team and Chinese Super League club Shandong Taishan. South Korea's foreign ministry has reached out to Chinese officials regarding Son's release. In tennis, world number one Carlos Alcaraz crashed out of the Italian Open. The Spaniard Alcaraz lost to Hungarian Fabian Marozsan 6-3, 7-6 in the third round of the tournament. Alcaraz had built a 4-1 lead, but Marozsan rallied back in his stunning win. This was the first defeat for Alcaraz to a player outside the world's top 100 rankings since 2021. The second leg of the Beach Tennis World Tour concluded in the Canary Islands. In the men's competition, Italian pair Tommaso Giovanni and Doriano Beccaccioli were crowned victors. Meanwhile, Venezuela's Patricia Diaz and Brazil's Rafaela Miller won the women's competition. The sport is a combination of tennis, beach volleyball and badminton. It's played on the beach with paddles and a low compression ball. In golf, Dustin Johnson won the Live Tulsa tournament in Oklahoma yesterday. He was awarded a $4 million cash prize along with the Live Golf Trophy. The former world number one hit a birdie in the final hole to clinch the victory. He beat Australia's Cameron Smith and South Africa's Brandon Grace in the final round. Johnson looks to carry his winning momentum to next week's PGA Championship in Rochester. In cycling, Tom Pidcock won the opening round of the Mountain Bike Cross Country World Cup in the Czech Republic. Pidcock managed to clinch victory despite crashing early in the race. He finished with a timing of 1 hour, 22 minutes and 46 seconds. Earlier in the day, Puck Pieterse won the women's race. The 21-year-old finished her race in 1 hour and 23 minutes. In rugby, fans are gearing up for the Men's World Cup scheduled for September. This year will mark the first time a female referee will officiate some of the matches. Joy Neville will make history as the first woman to officiate a Men's Rugby World Cup game. Neville used to play for Ireland's rugby team, after which she retired and became a referee. In American football, the National Football League announced a new deal with video streaming platform Peacock. NBC Universal-owned Peacock will live stream one wildcard playoff game next season. This will be the first ever exclusively live-streamed NFL playoff game. The announcement comes as the NFL looks to put more games on live streaming platforms. The threat of AI replacing human creativity was in the spotlight at the 2023 Webby Awards held in New York last evening. A mock battle was planned between comedian Roy Wood Jr. and an AI voice. Roy Wood Jr. showed concerns about what AI could do to films and television. The Webby Awards also acknowledged the Writers Guild of America's strike. Music gear from legendary bands like the Beatles, U2 and Nirvana is up for sale at a New York auction. U2 frontman Bono's guitar is expected to fetch up to $200,000. A total of 1,200 items belonging to musicians like Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley and David Bowie are part of the auction. The auction will be held on the 19th and 20th of May. Chile is hosting its third Docs in Progress showcase at Marche du Film at the Cannes Film Festival. The 4 shortlisted films this year show more diversity in genres and themes. The festival will show documentaries on Chile's indigenous tribes and its LGBTQ+ community. sci-fi fantasy film Avatar: The Way of Water will soon be released on streaming platforms. The James Cameron film will release on Disney Plus and Max on the 7th of June. It will also be available for free on Amazon Prime Video. The Writers Guild of America strike could affect production on Season 4 of sci-fi drama The Mandalorian. The filming for the show, set in the Star Wars universe, was scheduled to take place in September, but it could now get delayed as no writers are present on set during the WGA strike. Moreover, picketing also interrupts production. The Writers Guild of America strike is setting back California's economy by $30 million per day. The projection is based on an American think tank's analysis of the 2007 WGA strike that cost $2.1 billion over 100 days. Based on this estimate, the current strike already may have cost the economy over $400 million. If it continues for 100 days, the amount could hit $3 billion. The games division of e-commerce giant Amazon is developing a new game based on the fantasy franchise Lord of the Rings. The game will be a multiplayer adventure based in Middle-earth, where the stories are based. It'll be launched for both the PC and gaming consoles. Actor Jamie Foxx and his daughter Corinne Foxx are teaming up for a new music game show. The show is titled We Are Family. It will have non-famous relatives of celebrities performing duets with their famous family members. The news comes shortly after actor Jamie Foxx was hospitalized after suffering from a medical complication. His daughter Corinne has confirmed that Foxx is now recovering at home. Celebrity author Martha Stewart has made history by becoming the oldest woman to be on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazine. The 81-year-old said that it was a historic moment. She said that she gave up breads and pastas and took up Pilates to prepare for the shoot. K-pop singer Haesoo has died at the age of 29. The police in South Korea have retrieved a suicide note, but its details are being kept under wraps. The news of her death came 2 days after police reported finding the body of a K-pop star. The identity was not revealed until the investigation was complete. Recently, K-pop singer Moonbin also died by suicide at the age of just 25. That's a wrap for today's episode of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.